Okay, so today we are at Learn Free, and we're having a chat with Jenny Richardson, who lives on Anglesey, which is off the coast of Wales, right? Make sure I got my geography right.
Yeah, you're quite right.
Yeah. I actually have been there. I have been there on a particularly wet day, but I've been there. And
It does get sunny too.
yeah. I think we had one opportunity to go traveling a little further, and it wasn't the nicest of days. But anyway, I'd love to go back sometime. But thanks, Jen, for joining us. So we're wanting to talk to you a little bit about your travels, your plan that you came up with together with your home education group to walk all across Anglesey. So just tell me a little bit of the background to that.
Yeah, sure. So I was seeing all of these wonderful suggestions and all of these amazing offerings that people were making on the action group of raising awareness of some of the issues that we're facing as a home education community. And I was just racking my brains to decide, well, what can I do? What can I contribute? And I had one of those rare days where you get some time off and just going through the first stroll along the coastal path, and I thought, like, we could actually do this. Like, my kids, I bet they could walk 10 miles a day, and we could split the coastal path, walk up, and have people join us and just have this great big conversation. And so it just felt like something that I could achieve that felt manageable within my sort of sphere of influence. So we just went for it. So yeah, that's the background. Really just wanting something to do and it all feeling a bit huge and being like, okay, I can do this one thing.
Yeah. So tell me, so when did you kind of make that decision? How long was it from when you made that decision to when you actually did the walk?
It was probably a couple of months, I think. So it was trying to find 2 weeks together in the diary, which was the hard part. And also a time of year that was going to be nice enough weather, because I wanted to do the whole thing at once and stay out. Although we live on Anglesey, so we did have the option to come home, which we did do later on because we got a bit soft. But we, so once we settled on a date, and then it was just sort of getting the word out there and drawing people in and getting an online presence going as well. So that and also getting in touch with the press as well, so that we did in preparation for it when it finally came around.
Yeah. And was it your whole family that took part?
Yeah, so it was so the children, I'd say they probably did about 75% of the walk. So they had some days off here and there, some of the weekends when my husband was off. But we tried to make sure, I think there was 2 days where it was just, it might not have been 2 whole days either, where it was just me. But we tried to make sure that there were people joining us throughout, so that it was engaging for the community and fun for them as well. And we wanted to have it be this big conversation. So we really wanted participation from other people to be there, and online as well. We had lots of discussions and things. So it felt like there was lots of community around us. And certainly at like the stop-offs and things, we had people meet us with meals and chat to us about what we'd been learning or what we'd been doing that day. We had big sort of community gatherings halfway, and then again at the end, which just felt incredibly nourishing to just be surrounded by everybody, especially at the end when everyone's cheering you on. And it was really nice. It was just nice to get community together in that way.
Yeah. So when you did some of it by yourself, and was that, I mean, how was that actually?
It was wonderful. I think one of my favorite days was where I was just traipsing across the real wilderness parts, because so much of it is quite close to towns and things, even though it's amazing, stunning scenery. But the bit that I probably found the most nourishing, where I could really delve into sort of thinking about a lot of the issues and things, was when I was by myself at sort of the top northwest corner of Anglesey, still quite rugged, and you come out over these gorgeous cliff tops and just see the views. And there's wild camped in a little forest on top of the cliff, and waking up in the middle of the night and walked by moonlight, and it was just yum, really, really good, really nourishing, lovely.
Yeah. And so before you you said eventually you were kind of coming home for a sleep, I guess, but up till that point, were you camping? What were you doing?
We had a combination of people looking after us. So we had some friends loan their van to us at one stage. We had another friend put us up in her field, and then somebody else has a forest right next to the coastal path, so we were able to use that. And yeah, we were trying to stay out as much as we could and just make it a really proper adventure for the children. But I think I underestimated how exhausted we'd feel come the second week. So we would walk, and then we'd get home and just flop and sleep, and then get up the next day and then walk. And it was grueling at times, but really, really enjoyable.
Yeah. So I want to go back to sort of your beginning, your planning and everything. So you had this idea, and so I assume you sort of had a little map, or you worked out your, how you were going to do this, or was it all the way around the outside of Anglesey? Was it across? I mean, it was 140 miles, right?
Yeah. So I'll see if I can take you to a little. This is a quick zoom through the photographs, but we can go back over them later.
Well, we can go through your photos. Do you want to, if you want to go in order?
We do that. Okay, we can go.
Yeah, we'll go through them in order.
Yeah, so we did a coastal path walk. Is a really well mapped out walk across the whole, and here you can see one of the signs. So you've got signs all the way around the island. It's a lovely walk, really gorgeous. And so this was our photo that we gave to the press, one of them, and this is Aberfrau, one of the lovely beaches there. So we what I did was I found the coastal path, and I split it up into sections of roughly about 10 miles so that we could have stop-offs so that people could meet us halfway. So we had beginning points, and we had a midway point, and then we had an end point, and our goal was to be there at specific times during the day so that anybody could come along and know where we'd be at 9 o'clock. So we had this whole separate planning group as well, where I would check in and say, right, we're going to be here at 9 o'clock. Or everybody had the itinerary, but then every day it was like just checking in. Here we're going to be at 9 o'clock. Here we'll be at 1 o'clock, and here at 4. And so the idea was to just allow as many people as possible to join us on this big, epic, long adventure. So this is our first day here. And then these are the people that were happy to be photographed, but there were other people in the background who didn't want to be. So when you see pictures of people, just know that there's a lovely little gathering in the background as well. So this is our first day of adventuring. We were also doing a litter pick around the island, so we were just trying to make a positive impact in that sense as well. And we discussed lots of homemade philosophies along the way, people's stories. We were trying to really get out, communicate to the wider public who we are, what we're about, why we love homemade so much, and how we found it incredibly nourishing. This is the Menai Bridge and the Straits. So this is the kids doing their first day of 10 miles, which they'd never done anything like that distance before. They were incredible. This is our second day, and we had this is at St. Cyril's at Penmon. Gorgeous little priory. There's so much history around the coastal path as well.
So did you do a bit of sightseeing on the way too then?
Yes, absolutely we did. And it was so lovely to connect the dots as well, because we've visited lots of these places, but we've never sort of, relating it all together and being able to move on foot is such a different experience. It's so nice. So yes, we did. And we found lots of lovely little cafes and shouted out to businesses that helped us along the way as well. So that was really lovely. Lots and lots of nature. we felt really we're all very at home with nature living where we are anyway, but it was really nice. At one point we had some horses walking along with us. This my sister, actually, she struggled with a lot of bullying at school, so she was really great at sharing her story, and ended up being taken out to be tutored, and my mum always says she wishes she just dived in and did home ed from the start, and with a lot of us. So yeah, that was really nice. We were able to just be a bit wild and wacky that was the longest stretch of the walk that day. And then this young lady here, so these are my children, and then this young lady in the middle, sort of third in from the left.
Yeah,
she is an incredible trooper. She did, I think, probably 90%. She was just had that real burning in her, because she's recently come to home education, and she adores what it's given her, and she's just really come out of herself and wanted to get out there and just share how much it means to her. So she was along for a lot of it. This is my pack, Gerald. Gerald only came with me for one day. The idea was that Gerald was going to come with us around the island and contain all of the things we needed, and we'd have bags dropped off to us at different points to top up Gerald, but Gerald was not a welcome addition. So Gerald only made it for one day. Poor Gerald.
okay.
But there we go. And then we also had, I don't know if I didn't say to begin with, but the idea was that we were hoping to do a summer fair. So, and we are still planning to do our summer fair. So that we have a date set in stone now, which is the 26th of August, Friday the 26th of August at RSPB Conway. And the idea behind this walk was not only to raise awareness and get that conversation going of some of the issues and what home education is facing, but also to raise money.
Oh, you're talking to Anne there, I see. Anne Charles.
Yeah, you're talking to Anne. So we were raising money for the fair, but we were also raising money for Home Ed Law Project and Joy Baker Fund, because I'd heard about them at Joy Baker Day, and I was talking about them, and I just got goose pimples. I was just like, oh, we so need this. We really, really need this. You know, we need that additional support. I know so many people are supporting the home ed community. It's incredible, but to have something that really links the two, you know, between LAs and families as well. Just like I was just like, yes, this is amazing. So I really wanted to do something towards that and help raise money towards that. And we're still hoping to carry on trying to raise funds towards those amazing work that people are doing. So yeah, Anne and I had a good chat about that, to sort of introduce what she's up to and what other people are doing alongside her, reading your lovely self. And it was really, really lovely chat, really informative. So people were able to really delve into some of the issues and hear not just me go on about it, but other people as well. This was a lovely day. We had people come and travel to see us as well. So Bev and Mark are here, and from Time and Space, and they
I know,
Mark brought along parachute, and my son was in his element. It's so lovely to see them learning, isn't it? And just that really natural, just inspired because somebody else is enthusiastic and passionate about what they do. And they've been back again since to visit us, and Jack has actually built a parachute with Mark as well. We're hoping to go and do some more of their courses at some stage as well. So it's just so lovely to meet people from around the country that are doing similar things and on a similar wavelength and wanting to really make a difference. And yeah, it's really nice. So that was lovely. We were with them for half a day on this day. And again, more of the history of the island. Incredible.
I think what's really special is, you know, people can go on these walks and go on cycle trips, but if you make it about home education, give it a cause and a purpose, that's actually really, impactful.
It really is, yeah.
And it's something anyone can do, right?
Yeah, and it's just so exactly, that's what I felt like. It was something I could do. It's not, it doesn't take a lot to just sort of keep marching, and what I did find hard was the keeping the conversation going part, because I really wanted to engage people and I really wanted that to happen. So it was like trying to be mindful and immerse yourself in this incredible experience that you're having, whilst at the same time being really present. And I think we all struggle with that balance, don't we? Online, when you're trying to do things that to engage, a wider audience or whatever. And it's like being really present in what you can do with what's in front of you, but also how do you gauge how much you stretch yourself outside as well.
Yeah, but
I think especially with the bill, it's like
yeah, I think there's impact even afterwards. If you think about how we're talking about it now, and there's going to be a recording, that message keeps going out and maybe encourages other families to think about what they can do to raise awareness. And that you don't have to be any special sort of campaigner or anything, that you can, it's doable. So Lucy's asked, did you camp out while on this walk, and where did you stay the night? We actually did cover this a little earlier, but perhaps we can come back to that in some detail later if you want to go on with your slides, Jen.
Yeah, it will come up, Lucy, so I'll show you. This is just an example of how how grueling it was at times. That's funny. There you go.
Yeah, you could hear the sound on that too.
And some lovely. Yeah, my husband's like, yeah. I think Bev and Mark were like, why did we pick today? Yeah. This is it was supposed to be, the Dalai Lama said, one of the most peaceful spots on earth, and I really love it because you've got this amazing scenery on one side, and then just slightly off to the left on this side of the off towards the west of the island, you can see this big power station. And for him to have sat there and made that remark made me really think about how people are evolving, and how, in terms of how we think and how we interact with one another, how we, sometimes, especially things like, where we're seeing the erosion of human rights happen and things like that, it can feel really disheartening. And it makes me think about how there's so much beauty and peace, even when, things seem so tumultuous around us, and that sometimes that's just a part of the development of who we are as people, who we are as a species, and we have to sometimes get over these hurdles, don't we, and pass through these more difficult patches to kind of come out the other side and have more learning and have more realization of where we want to be. And so I really liked that. I was pondering that the next day. So Lucy, this is a friend of ours who's put us up for a night, for example. So we just reached out to the community, and people offered space and vans and tents and land, and so we did camp out for the first half of the week, and for the first half of the trip, so for the first week, and then the second part of the week we just got a bit soft and we went home every night. Yeah, the pictures just don't do it justice. And I felt like, as I was taking pictures, I was like, oh, I'm taking so many pictures of cliff tops, but you just can't do it. This is my lovely little secluded space by myself, and I had no children that day. Walking in the moonlight, nice dip in the ocean in the morning. It's gorgeous. Then we had like lovely community come. It's actually a Quaker community that we are involved with and know, and I think all these families, we've got one family here who tried home ed for a little bit, and she's a single mum and would love to be able to home educate, but just doesn't feel that if she could flexi ed, she'd be all over it, but they just won't allow it here. And she's, even now she toys with the idea of, oh, could but she's very passionate about people being able to make their own empowered decisions and choices about what they feel is right for their family. And then we've got lovely friends who just have always been very supportive. One, my friend here, she remarked how she knows lots of home ed kids, and how they're always very polite, kind, and there's friends too. And we had a lovely day with them. parents came along and joined us. Didn't think that they'd walk that far and ended up walking, I think, about 7 miles. We had a lovely Easter egg hunt with a couple of families at Friends Forest that day, because this was Easter Sunday, and just made a big thing of it and tried to just make like lovely little pockets of time where we could be together and do nice things for the children. We talked a lot.
Yes.
We talked a lot about neurodiversity, because obviously so many of the families that we associate with and our family have neurodivergence within them, and it's a huge topic when it comes to home med, and is one that I can see the emergence of people chatting about it more now, I think, with the bill, with regards to SEND and stuff, but it's it's so important to have that conversation, and for people to just realize exactly what it gives us, that you just can't find in a lot of places in our culture, that space and that opportunity to regulate, and it's just been incredibly invaluable for our family, like just incredibly. So I say that I think home education really saved my life, and that's not an understatement. Like, my kids have access to a mum who is fully engaged, who we can take care of our own health and well-being so much better. We just have so many more tools available to us so that we can be well. So that was a huge topic of conversation. This is another lovely day with a couple of other families. My daughter was getting very tired by this point, and she was carried a little bit. And then we had, at the end of this very lovely day, it was nice to explore parts of the coastline that I didn't appreciate how beautiful they were. Like, this is up near Holyhead, and you think you think Holyhead. Well, here we think of Holyhead, and it's like, oh, that's the towny bit, it's not. But but it's not.
Well, yeah, I think the thing is also we're in our cars so much, and when you're on foot, you can appreciate bits that you wouldn't see otherwise.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was so nice to discover all these places that I just didn't know it existed. So at the end of this day, this was a halfway point. We had a big celebration with the community, and lots of, didn't get pictures of this bit, but we had lots of family. It ended up being just home editors, and then and the lady who had us there, I think she really enjoyed us, because you just got that raucous energy, haven't you? And it's like kids, they just let loose and go for it. And when there's any altercations or anything, parents are on hand, and we just we chat it through, and we're able to support one another. I just felt so wrapped up in this kind of, and so incredibly blessed to have that. I really felt that embrace of community at that point in time. And at the end, the lady who asked us to come out, she said, "Right, closing time, everyone," And then one of the dads was like, "Come on, you goblins!" And she does this big smile, just came right across her face. It's so nice. The whole uninhibited, just joyful time, really lovely. There's that Holyhead. And then that evening we were driving back home, and we saw this rainbow, and for me, like, that whole kind of the behind the rainbow was it was like, yes, just spend time with this absolutely gorgeous rainbow community, and it was just so nice. And then the day after we had this, I'll flick through this quickly because I don't know how well I'm happy to be, but the day after we had this break in the middle, in between our 2 weeks, and in the middle we had we'd had a yoga session and a yoga massage session planned anyway, because we do like the kids, the older kids run clubs, and this was one of their club meets, so it just came bang in that I planned it so that it was bang in the middle when our day off. So I got a nice massage, we did a little bit of stretching, and it was really nice. Just a
little change of pace.
Yeah, a little change of pace. And then the following day, I got to chat.
Oh, Becky.
Yeah, because Becky's hoping to come to our summer fair as well. So we're going to have her exhibition hopefully set up in this gorgeous little space, bird hide. beautiful sunny spot. So yeah, she's coming on to that, and it was really nice to get people more aware of what she's up to, because she's doing amazing things. Love what she's doing, just love the positivity. And then yeah, that's that day. My son saw an adder that day, so that was pretty exciting. And then we were joined by more families. I love this. So this kid here, nice. He's an absolute superstar. His family really struggled getting any kind of support. He's struggled through lockdown quite a bit, and she was happy to share this as part of her story. But they are finally getting some, but they're having to pay for it, getting some support. But yeah, he is. Yeah, it's just lovely seeing him thrive at different things, because he's ADHD and ASD, and he's just, I love the energy, and he gets to just,
yeah, well, he needed to be
energy,
outdoors.
you know,
he needed
when he goes, you know, there's no kind of like,
there's a quote that says children can't bounce off the walls if there are no walls.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I think these are the kinds of stories we want to highlight, these personal stories. In terms of the politics and everything with the politicians, we need to make politicians aware of these individual stories and how the proposed bill will impact and could impact in a very harmful way, especially for children who have got other needs. Yeah,
we're trying so hard to make these kids fit into this. And my son at the protest with me, he had a sign saying, "Don't put me in a box," and he sat in a box.
I saw him in his box.
We're trying so hard to put these kids in boxes, and like you say, put them in these. And we used to live in a suburb as well, and it wasn't for me. I know that lots of people feel super happy, but I felt all the time like I was in a box, you know, like in this. It wasn't until we moved out, and you know, you need the environment that suits, and sometimes you need to be able to stretch out just to explore and feel where that can be. I remember when we moved here, I was like, oh, even my toes feel relaxed. You know? But yeah, we need that freedom to be able to feel out what our environment could look like and how it can sustain and nourish us, and that will look different for every person. Yeah,
that's great.
Love that beautiful picture. Just included that because it's so pretty. Some kayakers. This is lovely. You know, like the little kids wandering off together and chatting, and just you have those lovely moments, don't you, where you're just like, oh, this is so nice. And yeah, there's plenty of those. There you go. And then a little beach trip at the end of that day. Dinner on the beach. Lots of playing, lots of time together.
So they're at the same time learning and experiencing, and there's so much going on besides just the one idea that you had, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. And so much, like, I learned huge amounts as well. You know, and I didn't want to sort of go into it with my blinkers on, like, this is what I want out of it. I wanted to grow and open, and and I think that did happen. You know, you've learned something when you come away with more questions, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than knowing, oh yeah, that solidifies exactly what I thought it would, you know, you want to come away with more curiosity. So I've actually this is really cool, isn't it? That there's a sand and things in this cafe. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. In this cafe, they had samples of sand from all across the globe. I don't know how they did that, but this is at Anglesey. Sea shanty, very good. There's a bit of business. Yeah. Sorry, I can't remember what I was saying. Oh yes. I feel like after the walk, I feel like I'm going. It took me on a journey, and I came back probably fitter than I've ever been. And so at the end of it, my son said to me, because we raised about, I think it was £635. My son said to me,
"Oh, fantastic!"
He said, "Mum, yeah, he said, Mum, I think you're only about halfway to your target, aren't you? And I was like, I don't know, right. And he said, well, I think you're gonna have to run it now, aren't you? And, and so after it took a couple of days, but then I was like, well, I'm the fittest I've ever been. Why not? And actually, so I'm now up to 20 miles is what I can do at max at the minute, but I'm hoping to stretch that and do a marathon really soon. But having gone from not really being a runner at all, in a few weeks, I've been able to get to that point now. And so
wonderful, fantastic.
I've
actually got, I'm developing a big idea while we're talking, so I'll chat to you about it later.
Brilliant. So I'm going to book on, this is the plan, to book on for the Ring of Fire, which is a crazy mega ultra marathon around the whole of the coastal path, and it takes 3 days. They allow 9 hours the first day to complete it, and then it's 18 hours of running the second day if you use the whole time, which probably would, and then another 9 hours the next day. So it's full on, but I'm already hoping to do it, and I'm finding that the workouts that I'm having to prepare for it become this really meditative kind of experience where I'm really learning lots. And it's amazing, isn't it, when you set yourself something and just encourage yourself to just do that little bit, and suddenly something else opens up, and so feeling very inspired and excited about it. And I think it's really encouraging just to take that little step. I think you just what you can do, and then something else comes, and then what you can do, and then all of a sudden you're running 20 miles, or you're running 135 miles. That's what I'm hoping. So it's been really lovely to see that, and I think as well as the community, it's just helped more as well. You see again openings within the community. It's nice and a bit more unity.
Well, I think we have to pull together that much more. We have to put together our differences, and we have to agree on what we agree on, and everything else has to go. The platform right now, it's about home education, that we want to raise that awareness. And we as a community, if we can't work together and support one another, then we're in trouble.
And I think it's going to require a little bit of bravery as well, isn't it?
Oh yes, bolder, freer, louder.
And you feel braver when you feel more secure, and more secure when we're supporting one another, and when we're there for one another. And
some lovely coastal vegetation by the looks of things.
It was gorgeous. Lots of little beasties. Really pretty views. Love
gorgeous.
And the daddies as well. And this is when we got back off of Holy Island. This day was actually a really hard day. I lost one of the children.
Oh no.
For quite a period of time, one of the older children, but it was pretty hard going. But actually it was again a day where there was lots and lots of growth happening, and Mum just was incredible and was met with so much grace. And I was thinking about how we're just as a culture, we're just not permissive of mistakes. We just don't and I think that's where a lot of this sort of like fear-based stuff comes in, where we don't trust one another. We're not willing to trust the parents. We're not willing, because as a professional, it's going to come back to me and all this. We're just not a culture that can embrace that part of learning. It's like, oh no, you must get the right answer. You must, it's all got to be,
you've got to have it all together. And yet nobody ever does. So
no one, and you constantly feel like you're failing, and it's like it's not accurate at all. All of it is part of who we are and how we learn and grow, and we need it all.
Well, failure is a very important part of learning.
And actually, like, by this point, I think I had mentally and physically I was absolutely I was done in pretty much.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I think at this point I reached out to the action group. Yeah, this day when I and I think I'd fallen asleep with an mint arrow under my armpit or something.
Oh goodness.
Like, please, I'm not managing to produce content. Can someone come on? This is the wind. Oh,
and you still managed to smile though.
The wind on Anglesey is amazing. It's one of the reasons we moved here. I love it so much. Yeah. It's so invigorating. Yeah, so I was chatting to Mark that day about his experiences as a teacher and how they've moved on to do this other project with home education and using his teaching skills there. My kids are also a bit done in by this point as well. And we're not coming with you today, we're just staying in bed. This is another family. Yeah, so come the end of this day, oh, it was gorgeous people. Come the end of this day, we had another gathering where we were doing campfire cooking. So this was another club meet that we opened up. We just did, I'm going to come off that picture quickly because there's other people there. But at the end of that day, so I'd reached out and Randall, bless his heart, got back to me and said, I will come on and I will, because what I wanted was like a bomb like history and leading up to sort of where we are. And so because we're in Wales, it was pertinent to Wales and where Wales is at and how we got to this point. So Randall very kindly just came on and gave me that sort of history. It was amazing. Very, very grateful to him. And this video, it was really, really, really informative and really useful. And there were families that watched it and they're just like, thank you so much. That was brilliant. I really had no idea, you know. So and you wouldn't unless you're sort of like keeping an ear out for it, because there's the LAs don't know what, you know, they don't know what's going on. And we've got a really gorgeous LA at the minute, lucky in our area, and super willing to learn and listen to us, but no clue about, you know, what's going on with the bigger picture nationally and globally. You know, like that's one of the things that Randall and I talked about, was just how the climate has really changed globally and how it is changing. So yeah, that was that day. And then we did we were on the home stretch now, Newborough, gorgeous beach. We didn't manage to get to Llandwyn Island, which you can just about see in the background. Is so pretty, but my kids were so tired, we just ignored that tiny little loop because it's an optional loop on the on the coastal path. I'll run it, but we didn't do it that day. But it is gorgeous. Yeah, so this is the last day, and Daddy came along and they've got their rainbow lollies and lanyards. And we're off on our last day home. Stepping stones, a really iconic picture. If you look up the Anglesey coastal path, is the stepping stones. So I was really excited to see them. Pokemon Go helped us out quite a bit along the way, so I thought I'd give it some, you know, was it Anglesey Sea Zoo. We stopped there halfway and we were waiting for another family, and we had time for a little explore in there. So we did. We found this picture of the coast of the island. Oh,
look at them.
Yeah, look at this. And Jack, cheeky face. So so we live around where my shoulder is, around there. And then so we went up to Beaumaris the first day. We went around here to Pentraeth the second day, and then broke it up there, and then so you can kind of see what we did. This was my favorite stretch here. If anyone ever wants to go and explore some wilderness, that's the wilderness part of Anglesey. Can you see my mouse?
Yes.
Okay. And then around to here, and then we did Holy Island, dump, bump, bump, and then down to, so it was me that broke it up into, it ended up being 15 days. We were going to do 14 days originally, but we just, it turned out better to break it up into 15 with the parking. Yeah, and then there were a few hop, skip and jump. So yeah, that was that. And then we did a bit of crazy golf before we got home, up with the last leg family for the last leg of the journey. So pretty.
I know, wild garlic.
Wild garlic.
That one.
And they're still so jolly, even on the last day. It was so nice.
Having that bit of audio on is actually really, really lovely. I see that Becky's done some of that on some of her images in her exhibition. She has audio that goes with the image that people can listen to, which actually informs that picture, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives a bit more of an emotive response, doesn't it? Because you can
Yeah.
kind of put yourself in there. Yeah.
Oh, look at the lambs.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. And bells. Pretty church. And we're off. This was back home, and we didn't know that we would have people. I told people that we were going to have an after party, but there was no expectation that people would come. It was just, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
You want to join us? It was great. We had little cheerleaders at the end,
Oh,
and then people just kept arriving.
that's wonderful.
And we had this lovely little. It was so nice, really nice. Had a little sing song. As my son Toby. I love this picture my husband caught it. It just sort of typifies home ed.
Yeah, it does.
Experience.
It does.
He's not super fond of it, but he said I can use it. But I'm just
everything
it.
Everything that's crazy and different and
and eclectic and colourful. Yeah. And then what I've done since is I've put together like a little booklet with highlights of things from the because we had people tell their stories. We had like little like articles that I'd found that I'd put out. So on the page I tried to sort of pick out some of the highlights, and I think we've ended up with a sort of like a four-page sort of booklet thing. And then I've just been giving it to people that want to have a little summary of what we did.
Yeah, you could create it almost like as a blog as well, couldn't you?
Yeah. And I've given it to RLA, and she's found it really helpful because it just gives her that kind of like that personal that voice, and I'm hoping to give it to the RMP and circulate it at the fair as well. So
well done.
So that people can pick it up, have a read of what our adventures were and what we learned. Things that we chatted about, because we had lots of families there who were under the radar, obviously. So it's nice to, I think, for them to have that safe space to engage, and for also other people to, understand where they're coming from. Like, why would somebody choose to be under the radar? Not for any sinister reasons, but because they actually want to protect what they found, and it's incredibly precious to them. So that's been really helpful to be like understand that, and like I say, we're hoping to sort of extend that and be that safe space at the fair. So we'll just carry on doing that. That is the end of my slideshow. So so basically the next things we've got coming up are the fair on the Friday the 26th of August, and RSPB we have been amazing at wanting to support us with that. They've just, because we go there regularly every week, they've just been like, whatever you want to do.
So tell us about the fair. Do you want to stop the screen share, and then you can tell us about the fair?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can see my face now,
Yeah, I want to check that you actually are spotlit. I can't even tell at the moment. Where are you on here? You must be spotlit, I think. Yes, you are. Okay. Yeah, so tell us about the fair then. What is that all about?
So for the fair, we are, like I said, at RSPB Conwy, we're having stalls set up so that the children can kind of show off the things that they're interested in, or that they have particular, just the stuff they've been making, or the stuff they've been learning about, or any special talents they have, or special interests. We're going to have like a little entrepreneurial area. So we've done a few home edpreneur events we've had in the past. People have organised within the community. So we'll have a few tables set up with children selling things probably as well, from their own sort of businesses. We will have sort of choral items or band items. We will have hopefully a karate demonstration, a dance, just things like that punctuating the day, so that people we can kind of showcase what we've been doing and what we're learning about, and what our home education experience looks like. We're going to have a little forest school area. We'll have arts and crafts. We've got the RSPB providing pond dipping sessions, so they're chipping in to help us with running activities. Becky's art exhibition, hopefully in the Hive.
Yeah.
So it's just going to be like this big celebration of home education,
Yeah.
where everybody's welcome, everyone's invited.
Yes. So I was going to say, can others get involved and offer anything? What kind of thing could they do?
Well, if anybody was hoping to do something specific, if they just message me or get in touch, we have a couple of organising groups. We've got people involved in planning on a planning level, and we're coming up with the creative ideas. And then we've got people who purely just want to hold a stall or offer a specific activity or whatever. So we've got a stall holders group as well. So people can just get in touch, let me know what they want to do, and then I'll place them in the right spot so that they can access what they need.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So, and then people are, we're inviting, obviously, the members of the public. The RSPB have already invited lots of people for us, because it happens to be on one of their fun days, their family fun days. And so they've just said to us, if you want to run that family fun day, go for it, which is great because we've already got then the public coming in anyway.
Yeah.
And then we are inviting MPs. We're inviting our LAs. We might be having careers wells there, and possibly the school nurse. So we talked about that with the organisers and said, do we want to have people come in and offer those things, or do we want it to be purely coming from us as a home educating?
Yeah.
We thought actually it's a really valuable space, so that if people do want to access those things, but they might want to do it anonymously, or they might want to just kind of get a bit of a feel for what they're offering, not sort of dive in there, and then we can do that, we can facilitate that, so it's worthwhile doing that. So
I'm just wondering if anyone has any questions that they want to put in the chat about the walk that Jen did, and the things coming up, or if anyone wants to even just have some ideas, if anyone has ideas. So
what I'd love as well, Juliet, is that if anyone's got any feedback about how I can make the most of the run, like in terms of the press, because there wasn't much uptake with the walk. And so I'm sort of thinking, right, persistence is key here, and we just need to keep going. Like the truckers in Canada, like they were ignored for and then it's just gonna keep going.
Well, the idea I was having, and I'm going to put it out here because then maybe we are accountable, is Forrest Gump, where he starts running and then people just join him. And I was thinking, imagine if we had to say start up at John O'Groats, and we start walking all the way down the length of the country, and we invite home educators to join us, but we hopefully don't lose people along the way. We hopefully accumulate. I wonder if that's possible. I wonder what would that require in terms of permits or whatever. Can we do something like that? Because it would be tricky because obviously accommodation and everything, but if we absolutely committed to really raising nationwide awareness and do something big like that, I think it could be an incredibly powerful campaign. And perhaps that's something we should get a team on to think about, Ruth has said we could walk to the Houses of Parliament, so we could choose a spot maybe, but I think the idea would be that families along the way would actually join in, but it's the logistics of it. Where do you put people? What do you do with people at night?
And it's not just people at night, it's kids at night, and it's not underestimating it. I suppose people would come if they knew that their kids got for it. I knew mine were on the cusp of it, you know what I mean? So so I think something, maybe an idea to think about it. Maybe we need a little committee to play around with some ideas, but can you imagine? I think it could be immensely impactful to do something like that, where you actually become this moving mass of people and just sheer numbers. So I think that was just an idea. I had this image of Forrest Gump and his run and all these people that followed him, and obviously you'd have to choose your roads carefully as well, and you can't be blocking roads, and this is the UK, it's very regulated, so
We need to do some research into that.
Need some hand carts or something, like the old pioneer days, chuck all the kids in the back and off we go.
And